Hello and welcome to What the Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis, let's get to it. It's Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. Welcome to day 56. Vladimir Putin authorized operations to interfere in the 2020 election by conducting an influence campaign aimed at denigrating Joe Biden and the Democratic Party, while also supporting Trump, undermining public confidence in the electoral process, and exacerbating sociopolitical divisions in the United States. This according to the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. No foreign government, however, attempted to change votes or alter ballots. Instead, Putin used proxies linked to Russian intelligence services to promote influence narratives, including misleading or unsubstantiated allegations against President Biden to U.S. media organizations, U.S. officials, and prominent U.S. individuals, including some close to former President Trump and his administration. The U.S. intelligence community also found that Iran conducted influence operations and that China considered but did not deploy influence efforts intended to change the outcome of the election. Meanwhile, the U.S. Army initially rejected Washington, D.C.'s request for the National Guard ahead of the January 6th rally that led to the Capitol riot, saying the military shouldn't be needed to help police with traffic and crowd management unless more than 100,000 demonstrators were expected. The Army ultimately approved the mission and provided 340 members of the National Guard to help with street closures and crowd control as requested. Moving on, the United States is on pace to see the largest number of migrants apprehended at the U.S. Mexico border in 2 decades. The surge has created a backlog in Border Patrol stations, with more than 4,200 children in custody and 2,943 of those children being held more than the 72-hour legal limit. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, however, insisted that the difficult situation was under control. Mayorkas defended the administration's policy of allowing unaccompanied teens and children to remain in the country, rejecting the Trump-era policy of immediately sending the children back to Mexico or other countries. But he did say, "We are expelling most single adults and families." As the Biden administration struggles to find space for the surge in migrant children and teenagers, many are being forced to sleep on gym mats with foil sheets and go for days without showering. Meanwhile, Mitch McConnell threatened to go completely scorched earth if Democrats weaken or eliminate the filibuster. McConnell promised to break the Senate and turn the chamber into a 100-car pileup with procedural delays if Democrats nix the 60-vote threshold for most legislation. Senator Dick Durbin, the number 2 Democrat in the Senate, said the filibuster was making a mockery of American democracy and holding the Senate hostage by turning the world's most deliberative body into one of the world's most ineffectual bodies. Democrats need 51 votes to kill off the filibuster, but Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema have said they oppose changing the rules. Democratic priorities, including voting rights legislation, background checks for gun purchases, a national $15 minimum wage, and immigration overhaul, will all likely face Republican filibusters. Moving on, a Democratic senator suggested that the FBI's 2018 background check of Brett Kavanaugh may have been fake. During his Supreme Court confirmation hearing, Kavanaugh was accused of sexual assault by Dr. Christine Blasey Ford and several other women. Trump agreed at the time to order the FBI to conduct a supplemental investigation into the allegations against Kavanaugh. Then FBI Director Christopher Wray, however, told the Senate that the White House had limited the Kavanaugh investigation. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse called on the newly confirmed Attorney General Merrick Garland to facilitate proper oversight into questions about how thoroughly the FBI investigated Kavanaugh during his confirmation hearing. Meanwhile, the Senate confirmed Deb Haaland to lead the Interior Department, making the Congresswoman the first Native American ever to serve as a cabinet secretary. Haaland will oversee the agency that manages the federal government's relations with tribal governments, as well as 20% of U.S. land, and nearly a quarter of the nation's oil and gas production. And finally, U.S. intelligence agencies assessed that North Korea could be preparing to carry out their first weapons test since Joe Biden took office. Kim Jong-un's sister, meanwhile, warned the United States to refrain from causing a stink if it wants to sleep in peace for the next 4 years. The Biden administration has tried to reach out to North Korea through multiple channels since last month to start a dialogue on Pyongyang's nuclear weapons and ballistic missile programs. The The U.S. never received a response.
That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Anditas.